604, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, off and running. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing. Starting you off at 75 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. What's happening, y'all? Who is ready to rock and roll one day closer to the holiday weekend? This guy. This guy is for sure. We're on fumes, boss. All right, we got a lot of ground to cover this morning. We're talking education. We're talking hurricanes or the inability to track them. We got a lot. Breck stopping by later on in the show. I'll give you the full rundown in a little bit. Right now, though, you know how we start off. Top stories and trending.
Number 5.
20% is where we're sitting. That disturbance that's sitting on top of Florida looking like a big old kidney bean. It was at a 20% chance of formation into a named storm yesterday. It remains in the exact same spot, a 20% chance of formation into a named storm over the next 7 days.
Number 4.
The Office of the Mayor President announced yesterday that all city parish government offices are scheduled to close early, 2 p.m. on Thursday, July 3rd. Remain closed throughout the holiday on July 4th in observance, of course, of Independence Day.
Number 3.
A Baton Rouge man admitted Monday that he shot and killed a 14-year-old boy with an AK-47 outside a gas station 3 years ago, was sentenced to 8 years in prison for attempted manslaughter. Cleveland Joseph Eli was sentenced to 20 years. 12 were suspended. Eli was also convicted of illegal use of a weapon and obstruction of justice.
Number 2.
A lawsuit filed against East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office and 2 deputies says that a female inmate was raped by a parish prison guard. The federal lawsuit, filed on behalf of an inmate known as TN, says that Deputy Christy Scott arranged a sexual encounter with the inmate and former Deputy Elijah Christopher. It claims that Christopher would sneak the inmate out of her cell at night. The two would have sex in the parish prison's library. The allegations only get more sinister from there.
Number 1.
A man was killed in a shooting along Woodpecker Street on Monday afternoon. Baton Rouge Police Department said officers were dispatched to the corner of Woodpecker and Avenue J around 3:15 p.m. Police said a person was found shot to death in an apartment complex parking lot nearby. BRPD said the victim has not been identified, and of course, as it was early on in the investigation, no arrests had been made yet.
Well, President Donald Trump says he is not planning to extend a 90-day pause on tariffs on most nations beyond July 9th.
Okay. Ask him again on the 8th, huh?
Hey.
You know? Yeah. Why relinquish a grip this early? You know?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, and I know it's not in your trending stories, but remember how yesterday was supposed to be super easy in the Senate?
Right?
Yeah, they're still at it. Weirdos.
I know, man. I know. In other news, 2 former LSU baseball players, Tommy White and Gage Jump, will play in the MLB All-Star Futures game on July 12th.
Gotta love that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Then I'm sure Paul Skeens is. I don't. Have they announced the starters yet for the All-Star teams?
That I'm not sure. I didn't see anything this morning. But yeah, that may have changed.
Yeah.
Since earlier. But
I'll pull up the rosters during the break there. We'll talk about that in sports maybe. How about
Sounds good, yeah. And speaking of sports, the WNBA announced on Monday it was awarded 3 new expansions teams to Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia, growing the league to 18 teams over the next 5 years.
It's okay. I refuse to believe they would do that if it was going to continue to be the same loss leader that it's been. I fully believe that they're turning the corner there and might even start, turning a profit at some point.
Yeah, you're right.
You don't expand something just to lose more money.
That's right. So their hopes are high for sure.
All right.
Expectations are high, I'm sure.
Yeah. And it's the league as a whole needs to own up to the fact that there is one person running this thing. That's Caitlin Clark. Everything else is said. Okay. As much as I love Paige Beckers, she is not the headline grabber that Clark is. As much as I love Angel Reese, she is playing the villain role right now, and you can't have an antagonist unless you have a protagonist.
That's right.
So, all right.
Stuff. Yeah,
Yep.
Good stuff all around here.
609 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane. Going to break here in just a second. Before we do, though, I want to remind you about the folks over at Vex European. You know where to find them online, vexeuropean.com. You know where to find them in person. They're on Benefit Drive. That's the backside of backside of Industrialplex over there. If you drive a Jaguar, I'm going to continue to pound this message home. If you drive a Jaguar, you were kind of left in the lurch as far as service is concerned if you were taking your Jaguar to the dealership for service. Well, Vex is here for you. When you hit that little vehicles tab at vexeuropean.com, you will find a Jaguar on that list. Jaguar repair and maintenance in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Vex is your absolute best bet. They were actually your best bet before the Jaguar dealership shut down. They're definitely your best bet now. If you purchased a Jaguar, you did so to get performance and longevity out of said Jaguar. You want to make sure you're taking advantage of that. So check out vexeuropean.com. Give them a call at 800-4706. Or if you hop on the website, you can just click the little appointments tab. Make your appointment now at vexeuropean.com. Oh, voting's still open. Okay.
Speaking of Moon, is he coming in today or no?
I don't think so. He
Oh,
might
okay.
be. I'll ask. 6:15, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Got the answer for you, John, on the All-Stars right there.
Oh,
Voting, Voting's still open.
Okay.
Voting is still open to the public on the All-Star game. The voting closes tomorrow evening.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I just Googled Major League Baseball All-Star game, and it
Yeah.
took me right to the ballot. So I was
Nice.
able to squeeze in my vote for Alex Bregman and every New York Met on the roster.
All right. Yeah,
Yep.
sounds good.
It is sports time here at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Just as a heads up, do not forget, we are now 60 days away. 60 days away from the start of LSU football season, August 30th. 6:30 p.m. will be your start time, taking on Clemson in the opener, which means we are 1,410 hours away from kickoff. That's what the AI tells me.
Okay.
That's what the AI tells me. We are 1,410 hours until 6:30 p.m. on August 30th. So hopefully AI knows which time zone we're in. Can't get here soon enough, though. Which, hey, look, coming up on July 14th through 17th, our whole crew over at 104.5 ESPN, I believe our whole crew is going to SEC Media Days. I could tell y'all, we cover this thing like nobody else. SEC Media Days, we cover it inside and out, from first thing in the morning to last thing in the evening, as each team makes their appearance at the podium, makes their appearance in front of the media. They post up and down media row. It's an overwhelming amount of content, similar to the way that we cover Washington Mardi Gras from top to bottom. They're all over SEC Media Days. And I believe Brian Kelly's first one on the blocks. So on Monday, July 14th, Brian Kelly will be the first SEC coach to speak to the media at SEC Media Days. Let me double check that. Yeah, it'll go Brian Kelly, Lane Kiffin from Ole Miss, Shane Beamer from South Carolina, and Clark Lee from Vanderbilt on day one. Day two of SEC Media Days will bring us Auburn's Hugh Freeze, Georgia's Kirby Smart, Josh Heupel from Tennessee, and Steve Sarkisian from Texas. Wednesday, July 16th, will be Kalen DeBoer from Alabama, Billy Napier from Florida, Jeff Levy from Mississippi State, and Brent Venables from Oklahoma. It'll wrap up Thursday, July 17th, with Sam Pittman from Arkansas, Mark Stoops from Kentucky, Elijah Drinkwitz from Missouri, and Mike Elko from Texas A&M. Going to be batting cleanup at SEC Media Days. Meanwhile, we're in the rev share era in college sports. Schools can now pay up to $20.5 million of athletics revenue directly to athletes. Wilson Alexander with The Advocate talked with our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network. He says LSU is going to spend about 75% of that on football, 15% on men's basketball, 5% on women's basketball, leaving a very small percentage for some of LSU's other marquee sports like baseball, gymnastics, and track and field to divvy that last 5% up amongst themselves. Alexander says officials plan on paying every sport and finding other NIL opportunities to go along with.
We have seen LSU be successful in helping market its athletes, to help those athletes get these sort of third-party NIL deals that are now, they think, expected to be the backbone of what you are able to do in terms of an NIL package for an athlete.
I mean, narrowing all the other sports into that last 5% is going to be tricky. But if you have other NIL opportunities to offset it, yeah, that $20.5 million revenue share tag, I would look at this in reverse and say the NIL dollars will still rule the day. The rev share will be to supplement, which is why I would think it would make more sense to more evenly spread it out. By the way, the expense from rev share will leave LSU's typically profitable athletics department in a projected $8 million deficit for this fiscal year. Wilson says the administration intends to focus less on cutting expenses and more on increasing revenue through sponsorships like corporate logos that will be coming to Tiger Stadium this season. Alexander says they hope to have a balanced budget by 2027.
Because of things like, yes, this advertisement, if the NCAA starts allowing jersey patches, LSU is going to act quickly to put those on every single uniform on campus. And that is something else that Clay Harris said would generate multiple millions of dollars a year.
This is going to start an arms race, Shaw, an arms race that I'm not 100% sure that LSU is going to come out on top of.
LSU is in a great position here moving forward because if they are able to go and set up these third-party NIL deals like they anticipate, then they'll be able to make sure players are getting the kind of money that attracts them to these top programs these days.
The problem you run into isn't short term, though. It's longer term. Is when this becomes an arms race and you don't have the deepest pockets out there, and you know what? We don't. What happens then? It's 6:20. Here's the Fox Business Report. Hi, nice to it, Vonnie. Oh, that tastes so much better. Scrubbed out my coffee cup this morning.
Oh, yeah.
And the amount of black soot looking like Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins. Like the amount of just ick that was on the inside of that coffee cup. Just built up day after day, where all I do is rinse it out and put it back. Rinse it out and put it back. And it just builds up. I actually scrubbed the hell out of it this morning.
Yeah.
So my coffee tastes like coffee.
Without all that extra grat. Good morning, Facebook.
What up, crew? You got that those two cuts, the PSA and then the okay.
And then Dr. Abraham.
Doc Abraham. Dookie.
Whoa, easy. Watch your mouth, man. All right. Calm down.
Well, long and the short of it is you ain't driving. That's we got nothing going on, y'all. Interstate systems are looking great. I-12 westbound coming in from Livingston Parish. You got a little bit of elbow room there. Same with 10 westbound coming in from Ascension. If you're coming across the bridge from West Baton Rouge, you look good. And there are 0 surface street accidents to report as well. So, yeah, we're about as clean can be for a Tuesday morning. I know as we inch closer to that holiday, as we inch closer to the weekend, that's probably going to be the growing sentiment. So that's looking traffic, or the lack thereof, from the Shawbills Tire Traffic Center. 625, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Announcement came out yesterday. I believe it came out yesterday. Yeah, it had to. This is 4th of July week, and the Louisiana Surgeon General has launched a public awareness campaign to help the state's veterans during this week. Dr. Ralph Abraham, a military veteran himself, is asking any former soldiers who have experienced post-traumatic stress disorder to call Louisiana's 988 helpline, press 1, or text 838-255 to talk with specialists who focus on providing emotional support to service members, veterans, and their families. We got some numbers here we'll break down in just a minute, but Doc Abraham put out a PSA. We've got the audio of the PSA. It runs 1 minute. John, you got that for me? Hit it up.
I'm Dr. Ralph Abraham, Surgeon General of Louisiana. As a person who deeply respects our military, I know the sacrifice, the selfless service that they have all given. But did you know that oftentimes those that serve our country are exposed to traumatic events during their service tenure, which leaves many of our nation's veterans coping alone with post-traumatic stress disorder. So reach out for yourself, for a fellow brother or sister. Know that help and hope are here. Call the Louisiana 988 helpline and press 1 or text 838-255 to talk with specialists who focus on providing emotional support to service members, veterans, and their families. This is a message from the Louisiana Surgeon General.
Couple things to break down right here. The first of which is, I guess Doge didn't completely dismantle the 988 suicide hotline. It looks like when everything shook out, they lost about 1 in 10 staffers. 10% haircut there. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. As we get through all the headlines and all the emotion, and we see what happened on the back end, that looks like that's how that played out. Number 2 is, this is unbelievably important. In fact, Doc Abraham's not the only one sounding off on this. We're going to talk with Congressman Troy Carter for D.C. Current, presented by LABI. We're going to talk with Congressman Carter at 8:35 this morning, and he's got a couple of things he's been working on, not the least of which is wrapping up National Men's Health Month with a resolution, but also he wants to protect VA facilities from flooding, making sure that access to health care is available for our veterans as well. So it's good to see veterans in the headline from the aspect of, yes, we are taking care of those who have taken care of us. And specifically when it comes to veterans, Doc Abraham has said, he had some comments after launching the PSA the other day and said, when it comes down to it, veterans are probably the least likely to reach out on their own.
I am encouraged that there is help and hope available now, but they have to ask for it, or somebody has to ask for them. And we want them to do that. We want somebody to reach out to someone that they know is experiencing some issues, and we want them to get the help quickly.
So I said I'd have some numbers for you. Anywhere from 11 to 20% of veterans in the Iraq War or Iraq and Afghanistan, upwards of 20% would be the high end right there, experience PTSD. And that's not a one-and-done scenario. That's something that can come back on a regular basis. So good on Doc Abraham, as Surgeon General of the state, for putting this thing together. And I do hope it gets the attention it deserves, and hope that those who are answering the phone on the other line, the 1 in 10 cut wasn't that one. I mean, don't want to be blunt about that, but kind of have to be. So anyway, the 988 hotline is there, and like you said, dial 988 and then press 1 to move on from that. Told you I'd give you the full rundown here coming up, and yeah, let's do that. Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics, going to join us in our next segment. There's a new name in the race for mayor of New Orleans, and I don't know if he's got a chance, but if he does make it, there will be ramifications in the state legislature. We'll talk with Jeff about that. Oh, also, they caught one of the 2 remaining inmates. We'll talk about that as well. In the 7 o'clock hour, we're checking in Ascension Parish with Donnie Miller from the Ascension Chamber. They got a lot going on, y'all. They got a lot happening over in Ascension Parish. That's at 7:15, 7:35. Our State Superintendent of Education, Dr. Cade Brumley, going to join us. Yeah, I'll get a little recap on the Teacher Leadership Summit. We will also talk about the legislative session as a whole. How did things shake out from Dr. Brumley's standpoint? I'm sure he'll have some comments on the Gator scholarship, but there's more than just that. We will chat with him at 7:35. 8:15, Janet Simmons. She's standing in as the interim head of BREC. Looking forward to that conversation because she's coming in at a time where there's a lot of things turning over in structure as well. We'll chat with her at 8:15. And like I said, we'll wrap up the guest list with Congressman Troy Carter. Little DC Current presented by LABI. Right now, time to get the latest from the nation and the world from ABC News, then our local news, traffic, weather. Jeff Crouere's next. 637 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. And then there was one escapee remains on the loose. If you had Derek Groves in your pool, you win. Joining us now to talk about this and a few other things, we got Jeff Crouere. He's the host of Ringside Politics down in New Orleans. How are you, man?
Hey, good morning, Brian.
Good morning. Okay, so Friday, Antoine Massey's caught 5-6 minute drive away from the prison?
Yeah, I know we've talked about it in the past, whether these guys were out of the area or still around the area. And, I guess it makes sense because they probably don't have a lot of resources, don't have a lot of means to, go far, staying in an area where I guess they have help and, they're familiar. So, yeah, he was in Hollygrove, which is very close to the prison. So it's incredible. I mean, the guy was also very noticeable. He had tattoos all over his face. So
tattoos
not
that the
someone
public
that
got to see when he posted videos.
Right. Not someone that could hang out in public.
Right.
So, he had, escaped before, and he is now behind bars, thankfully. So we're down to one, a guy who, is maybe the most dangerous of all of them.
Yeah. That's the scary part of this is the one who is remaining probably shouldn't have been in the Orleans Parish prison to begin with. Probably should have been in a state prison at this point because he was convicted, right? I mean, he's a convicted killer.
Right. Convicted murderer. You're right. Yeah.
So do we know why he was there and not like in Angola or someplace?
I think there were a lot of people that were there that should have been there. And, I interviewed one of the candidates for sheriff the other day, and he was just telling me that happened all the time, and that there's just utter incompetence, and you've got jail being run by an individual who really doesn't want people incarcerated. So you're going to have problems galore, understaffing, cameras that don't work, all kinds of issues. So. This is all happening while we have a race for sheriff, which is interesting because, now the focus is on, the Orleans Parish Prison, and these escapees are now just making it a national story instead of just a local one. So, Derek Groves. So he is the final at-large prisoner, and supposedly the manhunt is escalating to try to get this guy brought back behind bars.
Is this pushing the sheriff's race ahead in priority, ahead of the mayor's race?
I don't know about ahead of the mayor's race, but it's giving it a lot more attention than it normally had. On my Politics with a Punch the other night, I had Sheriff Charles Fody, who was there 30 years, and someone universally, I think, that people think did a very good job. And, we really sort of peppered him with questions about what in the world has happened here. Yeah. And, he just did things above and beyond what the sheriff is supposed to do. I mean, he would, have these prisoners paint murals. They would do community work projects. They would clean up different parts of the city. He didn't just have them languishing behind bars. He had them, learn trades, learn skills so that they would possibly be able to reintegrate back into society when their sentence was done. Give them something that they could possibly be productive with. The sheriff we have now, had none of those programs, and it's just someone that just came in with an ideology that just didn't really match the position. So you need someone that believes in what they're doing, and fortunately, we got a chance to bring in someone who's better. There's some good candidates running. So, it's getting a lot of attention, as it should.
I want to pivot over to the mayor's race in just a minute, but you brought up Politics with a Punch with your latest installment was last Thursday. For the listeners who aren't familiar with this with this program, with this show, what is Politics with a Punch? Because I got some questions for you about your last panel.
I started on the radio, then I did a TV show, and then a year later started Politics with a Punch because we wanted to do something that would be, not as serious. So we gather a panel together. We do it every other month. We do it at a place called a Court Review, and it's we call it Louisiana's version of Politically Incorrect, premier comedy show in Louisiana. So we always have good comedians, and we had some good ones the other night, and we mix in people that are politicians, business leaders, well-known folks, and we always have a lot of topics because things happen here. I mean, there's just so many topics that we always have to discuss, and a lot of them are sadly pretty funny.
Yeah.
And we do it before a live audience. We don't record it so that we're able to have these people speak candidly, and they're off the record, so we don't have to worry about something coming back and being thrown in their face. And that was our 159th program the other night. So I'm doing it over 23 years.
Spud McConnell made the cut?
It was fun.
Spud McConnell made the cut for the last round?
Yes, Spud has been on our panel before, and someone who we always enjoy having. He's a funny guy, and he was in our business for a while, for a number of years, and then he, of course, was known for all his great acting on stage and TV and movies. And he was great.
Yeah, most people know him from Roseanne. He was on WWL for a while. I think I remember him probably most on screen for kicking George Clooney out of the Woolworth in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Right. He's got so many great roles. He really, really does. And I don't think he does much in the way of acting anymore. He's sort of disillusioned about Hollywood. But he does keep up with what's going on, so it was well-versed in everything we talked about.
Also on your lineup for the last Politics with a Punch was Claston Bernard. Glad to see him still around. He made a hot run for Congress not too long ago. Incredibly impressive dude.
Oh my gosh, he was awesome the other night. He is just a passionate guy, very articulate, very plugged in. I mean, he knew everything. Very committed to see this country move in the right direction. Yeah. So I would not be surprised, Brian, if he didn't run again for office. I think he did well his first run. I mean, He got a lot of attention, and then he, has been staying in the public eye. He's written books about different topics, and so he's a guy who I think we're going to be seeing more of in the years to come. Definitely.
Absolutely. We're talking with Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics, also the creator of Politics with a Punch down in New Orleans. All right, let's move over to the mayor's race. We got a new name.
Royce Duplessis. We thought he was running a few months ago, and then he decided to bow out because he said he couldn't raise the money, and shocked people by getting back in, and I think trying to fill a void in the race because it had sort of been stagnant. I mean, you just had, you had Helena Moreno, Aubrey Thomas, Arthur Hunter, and then some long shot candidates. And, usually when you have an open mayor's race, you have a huge field. So he jumped back in, turned the race upside down. He's well known and considered, someone on the younger side. He's got a, great political future, well-known family. So he's back in. So he gives us now a more interesting race. So I think now we're definitely going to have a runoff. There was before the thinking that Helena Moreno might be able to win in the first primary, but I don't see that happening now.
Well, and bear in mind, I'm following this from an hour up the road, but it really has, up until now, has felt like Helena Moreno is acting like she's way out in front. She has that mentality right now of you have to catch me, and that's playing out in real life. I just don't know if that's sustainable as an attitude. If voters will respond to that, because it's like a borderline arrogance.
Yeah, she's the front runner. She's got the big lead. You know, she's like 30 points ahead,
Yeah.
and she's got a big war chest. And of course, people knew her from her time on WDSU, and then she's been in a variety of positions, legislative and council. So yeah, she's been acting like the de facto mayor, and now I think this completely resets the race. You know, he saw an opening here that maybe people didn't like Moreno, but weren't comfortable with Oliver Thomas because of his background, because he went to prison.
Yeah.
And you know, Arthur Hunter's not really generating buzz, and he doesn't have much money, so he jumped back in, and I think it was a smart move because there certainly was an opening.
Who does Duplessis pull votes from? Does he pull votes from Moreno?
I think he'll pull some from her. I think he's going to pull a lot from Hunter and Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
But I think some of the white voters who had been with Moreno might give him a look, because I would say that there's a good argument can be made that he's more of a moderate than she is.
Yeah.
Because, you know, she is very liberal.
Yes.
Very, very,
and
very
Duplessis coming in as a state senator, a Democrat state senator in an overwhelming majority Republican state Senate. He has to know how to play well with others.
Exactly. So he knows how to build coalitions. He knows how to work with Republicans. He knows how to get things done coming from the legislature. So, yeah, those are tools that he'll need to be an effective mayor, because, you know, New Orleans is a very complicated political environment.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it's exciting that now we have this. As someone that follows the race, I'm glad to see, you know, this new entry into it. You've also got, of course, first billboards that I saw in the race put up by businessman Frank Scurlock,
Okay.
who ran before and is running again. So, you know, he's going to have some money that for his own personal resources he's going to put into the race. So, you know, we are off to the races here.
Off to the races as it is, and you're off to be on air 10 minutes until showtime. He is Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics. We always appreciate the time, brother.
Okay, Brian. Thank you, man.
Later on.
Take care.
I got to go grab something off the printer. Oh, and good morning, Christy. Hot as balls. 656 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Need just a minute to welcome a new partner to the show. That would be the folks over at NeuroJust, neurojust.com. Who is NeuroJust and who do they serve? Well, folks suffering from anxiety and depression, to be sure. And I know there's a lot of folks out there who may or may not even be diagnosed with depression, but they don't even want to walk down that path because they know that the answer is always a quick prescription and be on with it, right? NeuroJust is different. They specialize in TMS, which stands for transcranial magnetic stimulation. This is using magnetic pulses to stimulate areas of the brain just to kind of lower the volume. It happens over a couple of handfuls of sessions, and it just lowers the volume. It reduces that reaction to negativity. If you constantly live in a fight or flight mode, check out neurojust.com. If you've got a relative who has seen, bad reactions to or a lessening of effects of their prescriptions for anxiety, depression, check out neurojust.com. If you have seen anybody walking down this path who is not ready to just start popping pills as a result, neurojust.com is your answer. Transcranial magnetic stimulation, like I said, is FDA approved. It is a non-invasive treatment. Do me a favor, hop on the website and learn more about it. neurojust.com. Governor Jeff Landry signing a number of bills into law yesterday. You heard about this in our news there at the bottom of the hour. Let's talk about it a little bit. Starting off with HB 640, which established the Office of Louisiana Highway Construction to manage 5,000 miles of non-federal aid roads, aiming to improve project delivery.
More than that, it will lead the way in re-imaging how we deliver road and bridge projects by harnessing the power of innovation through the private sector.
The Office of Project Delivery was created to ensure the timely completion of DOTD projects. Landry says the Office of Transformation, led by the Deputy Secretary, will set performance indicators to enhance efficiency.
This ensures that everlasting change remains at the department and that there's always someone there looking over the horizon.
Now, so the reforms, they're out there to hopefully make DOTD a little more effective and accountable with the backlog that we have in the state. That is, I'm curious to see how this is going to play and if it'll make a dent. Landry emphasized restoring public trust and maximizing taxpayer value.
The reforms that we're making today are going to make a difference and going to pave the way to making sure that our Department of Transportation and Development is smarter and more responsive for the people.
Because they have their task in front of them, a very tall task in front of them, to be sure. I believe that backlog of projects is up to $19 billion. I don't know. You don't just take that, you don't eat an elephant in one bite, as a former coach of mine used to say. We're coming up on 7 o'clock at Talk 107.3 FM, which means it's time for us to check the news. We'll get news, we'll get traffic, we'll get weather, top stories and trending coming up on the back end, and then we'll check in Ascension Parish with Donnie Miller from the Chamber. That's next. I need you to pull that NeuroJust spot and send it to me and Taylor Rayner. Oh, look, girls' night out at P.F. Chang's. Later, Tater. 6 months ago. Keep that one. Seriously? All right. Let them know you heard about it on this show.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
Oh, I will.
Yeah.
Like, hey, heard you guys on Talk 107.3. For sure.
After the show is over, remind me. I'm going to run up to Brooklyn's desk and see if she's still got any free chicken lettuce wraps.
Okay, cool. Yeah. It's my oldest daughter's birthday today. And that's what she wants. She wants dinner at PF Chang's. So we're like, all right, let's go.
Go for it. It's awesome. I'm sad to have lost them. It's not.
Yeah.
I'm not bitter with anybody in Baton Rouge. They were happy with us. I was happy with them, and
Yeah.
Hey, Rich.
Come on, a question for you, dude.
Yes, sir.
Damn balloon release crap. Help me understand this. I know he vetoed it, but my point is, if he didn't, what's the age difference mean? Like, if you're 16 or older, you can't do balloon releases. But if it's about the environment, what's the difference about the age of the person who's dead?
Wait, there's an age difference in
Yeah.
this? I thought it was a blanket.
It says 16.
I got to go back and look that up.
You
I don't
got you,
know. I thought it was a stupid bill to begin
Yeah,
with.
but it says 16. 16 or older, you can't do it. Something like that. Dude, wait.
So,
I don't understand. If it's about
Yeah.
the environment, what difference does it make who died? Sorry, 16 and a half.
yeah,
I don't get it.
I don't either.
That's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Well, if you want to release it, you just pass it on to
the
the.
guy who did it, whoever the guy is.
Yeah.
They call him Big John because he's 470 pounds.
Yeah, he's from Harahan.
How many
Big
balloons
John
do you
L.
think it would take to get him up?
More than it took to get
Dude,
the.
I didn't understand. If it's about
The
the
house
environment,
So-
and up, huh?
Yeah, I didn't understand either because, like, Big John's a good dude. He's the one that wrote the resolution saying only night games in Tiger Stadium.
that guy's on top of it. Big John, big bad John.
Big John L.
Okay, let's see. Deborah Todd listening from Stockholm.
Oh, nice. Good morning, Deborah. Or I guess afternoon in Stockholm.
Yeah. Wow. Very cool.
.705 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing. We're starting off your second hour, basically the same spot we were for the first hour. So we've ticked up by 1 degree to 76 in downtown Baton Rouge. Whew. Busy hour coming your way this hour. We got Donnie Miller from the Ascension Parish Chamber coming up in our next segment. We got Dr. Cade Brumley, our state superintendent of education, coming up later on this hour. We're going to kind of recap the legislative session from his perspective. Sorry. Text from the wife made me laugh. She caught me off guard with that one. We got a lot to cover. Let's get right to it. Top stories and trending.
Number 5.
Oh, number 5 starts us off with a story that I was all ready to be mad about. I was all ready to grab pitchforks and picket signs and join Congressman Troy Carter. But no, the Trump administration has reversed course here. Yesterday, the Trump administration announced a delay of 1 month to a plan to cut forecasters out of an atmospheric satellite data collection program that is seen as crucial for hurricane forecasting. There's been an alarm among scientists about the plan to cut access to the data after it emerged last week in a public notice sent out by the NOAA. Some scientists had warned that the sudden loss of access to the data for NOAA and NASA experts could, quote, set hurricane forecasting back decades. Well, they've pushed pause on that, so the data is not being cut.
Number 4.
I got to find the rest of my stuff. Big old stack over here today, John. Big old stack. The Office of Mayor President announced yesterday that all city, parish, and government offices are scheduled to close early, 2 p.m. Thursday, July 3rd, and remain closed through the day on Friday, July 4th. This is, of course, in observance of Independence Day.
Number 3.
A Baton Rouge man admitted Monday that he shot and killed a 14-year-old boy with an AK-47 outside a gas station 3 years ago and was sentenced to 8 years in prison for attempted manslaughter. Cleveland Joseph Eli was sentenced to 20 years. 12 years were suspended. Eli was also convicted of illegal use of a weapon and obstruction of justice.
Number 2.
A lawsuit filed against the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office and East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff and 2 deputies says that a female inmate was raped by a parish prison guard. The federal lawsuit, filed on behalf of the inmate known as TN, says that Deputy Christy Scott arranged a sexual encounter with the inmate and former Deputy Elijah Christopher. It claims that Christopher would sneak the inmate out of her cell at night, and the two would have sex in the parish prison's library. The allegations only get more sinister from there, as there was a lot more to this story.
Number 1.
A man was killed in a shooting along Woodpecker Street on Monday afternoon. BRPD said officers were dispatched to the corner of Woodpecker and Avenue J around 3:15. Police said a person was found shot to death in an apartment complex parking lot nearby. BRPD said the victim has not been identified. They also said no arrests have yet been made.
Well, President Donald Trump says he is not planning to extend a 90-day pause on tariffs on most nations beyond July 9th.
Why would he? Why would he? It's July 1st. Hit me up again on Monday.
Yeah.
Okay? All right? The reason you push things to the 0 hour or the 11th hour is so you can get the most out of who you're trying to get something out of. That is the nature of compromise. That is the nature of, dare I say, that is the, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Is that the art of the deal? I needed a dun dun dun.
I know, right?
There,
man.
Yeah, I mean that's Donald Trump literally wrote the book, The Art of the Deal.
Man,
I had it, man.
I know.
What else you got?
Let's see. Well, 2 former LSU baseball players, Tommy White and Gage Jump, will play in the MLB All-Star Futures game on July 12th.
Voting's still open for those All-Star rosters, and yes, Alex Bregman is on up for vote. I didn't see pictures up there yet, so I need to. Darn it! I went and put my vote in for Bregman,
Yeah.
and didn't even bother looking for Paul Skeens.
Oh,
That's on me. I now got to create a fake email address. Come up with somebody else to go vote for Skeens.
yeah. Oh man.
I
And
need
keeping it.
I need an alter ego, like for trolling on the internet.
There
I
you
need
go.
one of those.
That's it. Keeping it sports related, the WNBA announced on Monday it has awarded 3 new expansion teams to Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia, growing the league to 18 teams over the next 5 years.
Okay. I have to believe the WNBA is about to start turning a profit. I have to believe that we're seeing and I'm not saying this is for everybody, and I know there's probably dozens of people out there saying, I don't care about WNBA. All right, I get it. But you're not the entirety of the audience. So I have to believe that enough eyeballs are making it to WNBA games to make it worthwhile for advertisers. And if it's worthwhile for advertisers, it's worthwhile for TV rights. And if it's worthwhile for TV rights, then it's probably worthwhile to buy tickets when you're actually in person. And if it's worthwhile for all these things, are we about to see the WNBA start to get out of the red? It's been a loss leader for the NBA. I can't believe they would expand just to create more loss. Does that make sense? Am I making sense here? If you got 15 teams, 13 teams, whatever they got, if you're expanding, you're not expanding to take on more red ink. And why would that be? Well, number one, people want to watch Caitlin Clark.
That's true.
You know, number two, you have seen the growth of college basketball in recent years to where you have more than a handful of players who have garnered a lot of attention. And it's predominantly Caitlin Clark, but Angel Reese playing the villain has not been a bad thing. By the way, she put up 24 points the other night.
Ooh.
Yeah, and like
Okay.
16 boards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, that's what it is, man.
But
People are paying attention.
I know. And
Yeah.
now you got Paige Beckers, who is absolutely like Paige Beckers is gonna be America's sweetheart. She's got game for days. She's got personality for days. She needs to be the face of that league.
Right. Yeah.
And then like taking others like Cameron Brink, who I think a lot of dudes are watching, not for her basketball acumen. Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. It's 7:12 at Talk 107.3 FM. We got to get caught up down in Ascension Parish. So let's chat with Donnie Miller next.
Eyes on the game or eyes on the game, even if they're not technically on the game.
Totally.
Right.
Totally.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Are we calling Mr. Donnie?
Here. There you go.
You texted him? I just texted you. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, good. Hi, good morning, sir. This is John with Brian Haldane. Hey. Yeah. Looking to have you on here in just a few minutes. All right. Yes, sir. Thank you. Whoa.
Did it click open for you, or did somebody let you in? Okay, so I can do that from my phone now. So yes.
Pretty good stuff.
Okay.
Oh, wow, wow.
Yes, up here. He just posted up the story. It's already up.
Nice. Yeah, they got started early this morning over there.
You're up at 8:15, right? You're like super early. No, on the show today. Yeah, you're meeting with Gordy. Okay. That's totally on me, and I totally wrote it down at 8:15. Nope. Let me get with Dr. Brumley real quick.
Really? Wow. That's so cool. Yeah. But still, that's awesome.
7:15 or 7:17. Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. All right, we need to check in down in Ascension Parish real quick. Donnie Miller's with the chamber down there, joins us. Donnie, how are you, sir?
Hey, Brian. Good morning.
Glad to have you on this morning. Y'all got a lot going on, man. Tell me about this latest economic development win.
Yeah, it just seems to be the thing this year with Ascension Parish and our surrounding region. There's so many great investments coming into the market. Lindy just came in and announced a $400 million new air separation unit over at the Riverplex Mega Park on the west side of Ascension Parish.
To do what?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, Lindy, look, they're a global industrial gas and engineering company, but they're coming in to build the largest air separation unit in the Mississippi River corridor. Again, over in the Riverplex Mega Park. I had to ask myself, though, Brian, I wasn't sure what the largest in the Mississippi River corridor, what that meant. Obviously, a fairly large unit, but the largest in the U.S. is over in LaPorte, Texas, also owned by Lindy. So they're making a name for themselves across the Gulf South.
So, the reason I ask is because when you say air separation, this sounds like whether we're talking carbon capture, whether we're talking green hydrogen, whatever it is we're talking about, we have to pull things out of the air. So that's kind of what it sounds like it was describing to me.
You're right. So the unit is going to supply oxygen and nitrogen essential to low carbon ammonia products, and
Gotcha.
it's going to funnel it over to Blue Point and Blue Point number 1, and that's essentially the joint venture between CF Industries, JIRA, and Mitsui that was announced earlier in the year.
We're talking with Donnie Miller from the Ascension Parish Chamber. So give me a timeline on this, because this megaport is just really ramping up quickly. Y'all are, I mean, as far as tenants are concerned, this is escalated fast.
It really has. Timelines really for most of these projects are behind the scenes is happening now. Making sure we're ready for these organizations to come into the market. There's a lot of preparation work, a lot of planning. I would say really 2027, 2028, you're going to start seeing a lot of dirt moving and a lot of project activity as these organizations start to ramp up.
Is this going to be like an all at once thing? Because I feel like as they're ramping up, like everybody's kind of on a similar timeline.
They are, but they're going to have to stagger, their construction,
right,
obviously for what's available for workforce, and all the things that come with it, whether it's places to stay or, amenities and actually the recruitment. But yeah, it's this is going to be a deeper dive with LED and economic development with Kate MacArthur in the sense of specific timelines, but from things we've been told kind of into 2027.
Okay, so on an infrastructure front, do we have some catching up to do?
Well, yeah, I was on a show last week and was talking about the West Bank. It's not that it's a disinvested community; it just hasn't had as much investment as some of the other areas within the parish.
Right.
So yeah, on the infrastructure side, making sure that roads are in place and that we're being thoughtful about pipelines and rail expansion. So yeah, I mean the parish is leading this. And I say the parish, that's Clint Maw and his team over at Ascension Parish Government. And then in that they're working collaboratively with both Mayor Gonzalez and Mayor Sullivan over in Donaldsonville. And then all of the other pieces of the ecosystem kind of come together under their leadership.
We're talking with Donnie Miller from the Ascension Parish Chamber. Let's talk about the chamber for a quick minute. Man, you're growing within as well.
It's been a really fun year. I took on this role in January, and the chamber has gone through quite a few leadership changes over the past few years, but the one constant has been our board of directors and just an incredibly engaged group of people that have constantly been pushing the chamber forward. But yeah, we started January with 429 members, and we're kicking off July today, and we're sitting 100 members higher than that. So we're 529 members, and I really forecast that we're going to hit 600 members before the end of the year. And I wish I could have a microphone with me at all times, Brian, to listen to the PSAs, from these organizations of the people that have gotten really engaged and how much they've seen their organizations and their businesses grow by participating.
We can do that. We can get you mic'd up. We can permanently mic you up, and we'll just absorb all the content going on. Because Donnie, what's going on in Ascension Parish right now really feels like you invited a few people to a party and then like the entire school showed up. Like it's bursting at the seams, literally and figuratively. So naturally that would spill over into chamber membership as well.
It's amazing the amount of calls we get prior to events asking if someone could bring a +1, if they could bring a friend that, they're not a member, but they really want to get engaged. Is it okay? And, absolutely. The more the merrier. We're in place to make sure that everybody can connect and get together. And, instead of social media, we're an in-person organization that's just humming along.
Then let's talk about humming along, because y'all got a full slate in July. 7 different ribbon cuttings.
It's one of my favorite things that we do with organizations. I equate it to greeting somebody at the airport or surprising somebody over the holidays. It's always a happy moment for these organizations to celebrate their growth, and whether it's a grand opening, whether it's a ribbon cutting, whether it's an expansion of their current offerings. We love to get there. But yeah, there's 7 ribbon cuttings. If it's okay with you, I'd love to kind of list out a few of them just to give these companies some opportunities for notoriety.
Go for it.
Yeah, so the Med Spa of Ascension, Our Lady of the Lake, St. Elizabeth, that's all happening July 8th. We've got a ribbon cutting with Cypher's Physical Therapy on July 9th. Lollipop Sweet Shop and Jeremiah's Italian Ice on the same day, July 15th. Sunny Time 8. High Horse Haircuts. I mean, we've got a cross-section of companies that are ramping up in Ascension Parish. Very
cool stuff we're talking with. But watch how many people show up for that Italian Ice. I mean, July 15th, you're talking a free sweet treat that's frozen. That's going to be the way to roll. Along with the 7 ribbon cuttings, you got your large July luncheon coming up, bringing in quite the headline speaker.
We had Stephen Procopio come out and speak at our last luncheon right after session completed. And he was nice enough to, with small talk prior to the event, saying, wow, this is an amazing annual event. And I said, Stephen, this is just a Thursday. These are the numbers that we throw up just for a regular luncheon. But yeah, we've got Jay Clark, LSU's gymnastics coach, coming out to be our guest speaker. We've already got over 100 people that have RSVP'd. I'm anticipating a little over 200 people to come to this event. So this is one not to miss. Not to say that's just the luncheon, but we've also got some interactive stuff coming up with bowling tournament in July, which is almost sold out. And then our business expo coming up in August, which is one of our largest events of the year, with over 500 people in attendance of our luncheon and over 120 companies that are, set up like a conference format as an expo format to get together and network with each other.
Got a couple minutes left with Donnie Miller from the Ascension Parish Chamber. I skipped right past what y'all got going on with carbon capture. The education continues, and I believe, Donnie, and I'm sure you agree with this, you cannot have enough events around explaining what carbon capture is, how it works, how it will progress, and who can partake, who can come play a little bit. What do y'all got going on that front?
You're right. This is just a topic that continues to resonate with the community. It continues to spark questions, concerns, excitement. And we just want to make sure that we're educating our members, when we're educating the community within Ascension. West Baton Rouge just held a fantastic carbon capture panel, a webinar last week. Was able to catch that with some great speakers that you consistently have on your show, like Dr. Upton. But we've got 2 coming up, one in partnership with the West Bank of Ascension Parish, specifically with Donaldsonville. So if your listeners are in Donaldsonville, this is the time to come in. This is going to be an in-person event to really dive in and ask questions about carbon sequestration. But then separately, we're going to be hosting a webinar format, again, similar to what Anna did in West Baton Rouge, to expand offerings to folks that can't make it in person, but also we're trying to open it up to some of the other members within our community, specifically our Hispanic population in Ascension Parish. So we're really trying to, break the mold and make sure we're focused on everybody. And the Hispanic and Latino population in Ascension Parish is almost 9% of our population. So, a little over 11,000 people.
Really? That's a big number.
It is, and it's doubled over the past 10 years. So it's a number that our board has been monitoring for the past few years. It's something we have our eye on, and as we grow our organization specifically, this is going to be one facet that we focus on quite a bit.
Looking ahead past July into August, you've got your business expo coming up. Tell us about it and who can partake in this.
Yeah, this is a huge event, right? Our Women in Business is a little north of 500 people. Our State of the Parish are close to 300 to 400 people. But this is a big one, and we bring in distinguished guests. In the past, we've had Brandon Landry, we've had Jay Johnson. I think he's a little busy right now. We've had Cody Salmon from Chick-fil-A, and coming soon, we're going to make an announcement of our keynote speaker for this year, but I think our audience is going to be pleasantly surprised. We really try to get business leaders, heavy hitters, and someone that their message is going to resonate as you bring everybody together. But this is a way to highlight our school system. I think there's some awards that are given out to some of our educators, and then again, a reason to highlight big, medium, and small business and bring them together. Fun fact, Brian, this year, we're going to start opening up the opportunity for smaller micro businesses to participate. We found sometimes that we've priced them out of the market to participate in some of the booths. So we're going to offer individual tables and create a section just for our small businesses. So really trying to make sure that we're hitting every member within our organization.
I love that because, if small business is neglected, they remain small business. The only way to grow is to get them involved. So good stuff on that front. If there are businesses that still want to partake, you got 120 plus booths or 120 plus companies that are going to be in there. Is there room for more?
There is. AscensionParish.com, AscensionChamber.com, would be the best way to take a peek. And we're not maxing out at 120. That's what we had last year. But as long as there's enough room with 4 walls and a ceiling, we will make room for these businesses to get to participate.
But you may have mentioned this and I just missed it. Where is it?
It's going to be at the Lamar Dixon Rev Center. We needed a facility that was large enough to house not only a 500-person luncheon, but also all of these foods. So, yeah, right in Ascension, Lamar Dixon over at the Rev Center.
At the Rev Center. I've been in that building a number of times. Lamar Dixon's an awesome facility. Before we get you out of here, what else you working on throughout the summer?
So, to be honest, we are really taking a look internally. We're growing staff. We're putting in a lot of new policies and procedures, probably pretty boring for your listeners, but, every once in a while you need to reinvest in yourself and make sure that, our organization is tight, our staff is motivated and looking forward over, through the end of the summer, how we can execute between now and the end of the year. There's a lot of economic development coming, which means there's a lot of stakeholder engagement. And just making sure we're continuing to get the message out about Ascension Parish. I'm starting to coin this, Brian. We're now going to be called the Bubble. I spent the time in the Woodlands, Texas, and in Houston. Everyone always refers to the Woodlands as the Bubble.
Okay.
Whereas Ascension Parish now, we sit right in between New Orleans and Baton Rouge.
Yep.
Our school systems are, ranked fairly high. Our crime is low, and our business is continuing to grow. So. You've heard it first in your show. We are now the Bubble of Louisiana, the Bubble of Baton Rouge region.
The Bubble. Donnie Miller coming from the Bubble. I like the ring of it. It's got a good ring to it. Donnie, appreciate the time, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Brian. Have a great rest of the day.
You do the same. All right, we got news, traffic, and weather coming your way in 5 seconds from right now. Janet Simmons from Breck is up next. All right, all good to go. My apologies on the confusion. We're set. Dr. Brumley's going to come on at 8:15. I learned that yesterday. Sure. Be careful because it'll go down fast. hate having coffee breath. So the second I'm done with my coffee, I go for that. All right. Oh. You know, I turned the volume back on to hear that PSA and then pre-roll commercial for some kind of online video game. Yes. Yeah, apparently the latest I heard this morning on America in the Morning was he started shooting at them when they told him to move his vehicle. So, I don't know. Yes. So we'll talk a little bit about Liberty Lagoon. Just talk about adapting to the new gig overall and where you plan on heading. When we're always on Facebook Live, we don't have microphones on right now. So 737 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Time to welcome into the show the interim superintendent over at Breck. We got Janet Simmons in the house. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. I'm a little wet from Liberty Lagoon. We had a little show this morning at about 5:45 with Abigail over at WBRZ, and she and I had a little contest going down the slides, and she cheated, and so I won.
She cheated?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I see. That's good to know. It's revealing. It's like playing golf with somebody, right?
Exactly.
Yep. That's Liberty Lagoon, by the way, will be opening up on Friday.
No, actually, we're going to be open tomorrow.
Ooh. Okay.
Yep,
All right.
We're going to be fully open tomorrow, full fare, everything, and then on the 4th, we're having a grand reopening, and we'll be having snowball, snow cones, free snow cones, and the rider, what is it called? The Flash rider? No, it's the thing where you go and surf, the machine that you surf.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be free. So usually we charge for that, but this summer we're not going to be doing that.
The pushback on opening was
we had mechanical and electrical issues, and we just wanted to make sure it was safe for the kids.
Okay.
And we didn't want parents to feel like they couldn't drop their kids off and leave them with the surety that they were going to be safe.
Okay. And there's going to be a capacity issue because the 4th is going to be bumping.
Exactly, and it's going to be popping. I wish I was going to be here because my husband and I are going out of town, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
That's wait, hang on. You rode the slide this morning. How'd you like it?
I just went down the little baby slide.
Oh, come on,
oh,
Janet.
No, I can't go down the big slides. They hurt my back too much.
Oh, no.
I'm too old for that.
Well, 4th of July will be tomorrow.
Oh, speaking of old, I'm an elderly.
Oh, no.
66-year-old.
That's all right. That was attached to a news story was that last week?
Yes.
I don't even remember the news story. I just remember I was reading it verbatim. And then caught the text from you saying, "Don't say 60s is elderly."
Exactly.
And I apologized immediately.
Yes, you did.
For that. Yeah,
you did.
So
I accept your apology.
How you liking the new gig?
I am having so much fun. I cannot explain to you. It's great. I brought in two of my closest compadres, Maurice Velasquez with Team Real World, and Johanna Landreneau with Landreneau and Associates. She's an attorney. And we have worked as a team before, we work really well together, and we have knocked out so much already in the 4 weeks that we've been there, and we've got a lot more to do in the next 5 months.
So we have a definitive timeline here.
Well, I have a contract through November 30th.
Okay. So that any questions about what's going to happen with the post afterwards, we can just we could take our time and do it right?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the plan, and we've got a lot of work to do in the next 5 months. We've already done a lot, and if you'll have me back on maybe in a month, I can give you a little bit more update. We've got a special commission meeting on Tuesday. That's where all the new commissioners are coming in, and we'll be doing some voting on certain things at that commission meeting, and hopefully I can tell you some more definitive things after that.
Okay. You say you're having a blast. What are some of the fun parts other than riding the kiddie slide? What are some of the fun parts about taking on this role?
So I'm a pretty early morning person.
Okay.
And so I like to go walk the parks. And so I've been able to go and meet all of the guys in the shops. I've met with them, brought them donuts in the morning. These are the guys that are out there in the heat and mowing and trimming and doing all of the work outside. And it's a big job. They get out there at 6:30 in the morning, and they don't get back until 6 in the evening. It's hot work, and it's hard work, and they're the ones that keep the parks, pretty and working so that we can enjoy them.
Do you have a favorite park yet?
Well, I've discovered a park that I love that I never knew even was there, and that was the Baker Arboretum. It is beautiful. I did not know it was there, and I walked it the other morning. While I was walking, I was on a short little walk, and I saw a chipmunk, I saw a squirrel, and a rabbit.
Wow!
Yep.
All right,
it was a lot of fun. So I'm right now. I'm discovering I love this equestrian park, Far Park on Nicholson. I went out there and met with the guys out there. I don't know. There are a lot of cool parks that I didn't even know about.
So yes, and this is one of the things, and I love the partnership we have with Breck. I love telling Breck's story because y'all are tasked with, and you've heard me say this a million times. Y'all are tasked with being all things for all people.
That's right.
whatever it is you're into. And I always forget about equestrian.
Yep.
But like, wait till fall when they start playing rugby out at Highland Road.
No kidding.
And then look, we're 2 weeks away from cross country practice starting. My daughter and son run cross country.
Oh my gosh, in this heat.
Oh no, I know, I know.
They're kids; they can do it.
Yes, they can. But between that and the splash pads, you got Liberty Lagoon, and like if you've got
well, we got Howell Park. We just opened up, had a grand opening there on Wimburn Avenue. That's kind of my neck of the woods because I've been working up and off of Wimburn for 20 years now, and it's the pool is really nice there. It's great for that community because they've needed that so badly. I love Howell Park and the nature, the trails that they have out there too, and the picnic areas that they have. Also connected with Howell Park is the Healthy BR Gardens that Mitch and his team keep going, and they're organic gardens that they grow organic food for the community.
Oh, wow. Can we replicate that?
That's one of the things we're working on.
Okay. How much of this right now is just still a sifting through process?
A lot of it is.
Yeah.
Just learning, but having Maurice and Johanna with me is really helping because I can pass things to them, and then I can get out there and get in the community. And so I've already met with Mayor Evans from Central probably 3 times.
Okay.
He and I went yesterday morning to the Plank Road lay-down yard and just to talk to the guys and tell them thank you because they're the ones that are out there at 6 in the morning, cutting grass and everything up in Central. And Central has been kind of critical of the Breck Park system, and so we're trying to mediate those things. And we're trying to get the low-hanging fruit. So if we have an issue that we know we can repair very quickly, we've got a rapid response ticket plan that we're going to be putting into effect in September. But we've already started that plan, and so that our crews can get out there and solve problems quickly. And as soon as the problems are identified by the public, I have a special email address. It's called helpjanetes@gmail.com.
helpjanetes@gmail.com.
And that's where anybody wants to send any kind of issues to me. They can send it to that email address. I monitor it every day, and we put that on our ticket system, and we make sure that we solve problems.
Well, between you and Maurice and Johanna, and I know it's early on, so I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here. But are you starting to uncover issue by issue and be able to,
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And we've got a great organized system to where we're keeping up with every single question or concern or even praise, because we're getting a lot of praise too, because a lot of people, the Breck system is great. It really is a great system.
Yes, it is.
It just has some issues that we need to take care of. And that's this a little bump in the road. And we're going to get that and turn this ship, straighten it out. And we're excited about it. I am announcing today, I think the press release is going out today, of a task force that we've developed. And stay tuned. The press release should be going out today. We've got 7 pretty key, prominent people that are on the task force that are going to be helping us.
Okay. All right. Looking forward to that. Yeah. And one of the things that, Janet, I don't want to sound overly, like I said, I'm a huge fan of Breck. But when I heard your name as the interim, I'm like, here's someone who is willing to be open and honest about the state of Breck, because it's the only way to move forward.
Right, absolutely.
Is to be honest. If you're constantly burying your problems, you can't solve your problems.
Absolutely.
So that was my first takeaway.
Yep.
As soon as we heard your name, and I'm loving that this is where you're headed.
Yep. I'm super excited about it, and I think you're going to see some of the things that are coming down the pike. Just something as simple as somebody called and said, we want the lights on at the tennis courts in Central. Okay, what do we have to do to get the lights on at night for people to play tennis?
Yeah.
So just solve that problem. That's quick. Boop, got it done. Move on to the next problem.
Okay.
So that's how we're ticking them off. So
with this many parks, with this many properties, that's going to take some time.
Okay, so we do have a plan in action of taking some and repurposing some of the rec centers and buildings, and so that's another thing that we're working on right now, and identifying which rec centers we need to repurpose. Which ones do we need to make into like an open air, like basketball courts, for example, rather than having walls and no AC?
I know exactly which court you're talking about.
Opening them up into to where that you can have at least some kind of a breeze coming in. There are all kinds of things like that we're working on, and we've got a great team that we're working with, and I'm excited to be working with all of the current directors that we have right now. They're super. They're doing a great job. And I'm proud to be a part of their team.
We got Janet Simmons in with us. She's the interim superintendent of Breck. Just immediate plans. So you've mapped out a timeline. What does this month look like? What does July look like?
Well, so I'm going on vacation.
Oh.
So my husband and I'm going to do a little shout out for our Simmons Outdoor Power Equipment store in Port Allen. We sell Skag mowers and bad boy mowers and blowers and trimmers and
See,
whatnot.
I knew this was going to come around to that because you started off by saying you wanted to give a shout out to the guys who drive the lawnmowers on the
Right.
property. I knew this is where this was headed.
Right.
Well,
So
no wonder you have favorites with the folks
Right.
who are on the lawnmowers because that's what they do
Yeah,
at
so-
Simmons Outdoor Power.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, my husband and I are taking a brief break and going down to Bay St. Louis, and so we're looking forward to it. But otherwise, we're going to be hitting the road running starting on July 7th.
Coming back fully charged on July
Absolutely.
7th. And yeah, you will have a full docket. So you asked if you can come back on in a couple weeks. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I want this. We're scheduled out monthly.
Great.
Updates along the way.
Yep.
We absolutely need to tackle it because,
And I
like
think
I
we're
said,
going to do a podcast starting on Saturdays. So pre-recorded podcast.
okay.
Mhm.
All right. We'll be on the lookout for that as well.
Cool.
She is Janet Simmons, the interim superintendent of BREC. I appreciate you stopping by for a couple minutes this morning.
Thank you.
By the way, before anybody asks if you need to get a hold of Simmons Outdoor Power, 749-2001 is the phone number, 749-2001. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the website's actually under, you had a different name. You had
Well,
All Outdoor?
you can go to SimmonsOutdoorPower.com,
All right.
and it'll take you there.
There you go. And when it comes to BREC Parks, look, you know I'm a fan. And whether you're talking about the Highland Road Park, whether you're talking about Independence Park, which we're out there a lot for cross country as well, running around those soccer fields, running around the whole property. Wherever it is, BREC's got you covered. And whatever it is you are into, check them out at brec.org. Brec.org is your home base right there. They've got the full list of facilities. They've got the breakdown of everything you can be partaking in, whether you're talking about physical activity, whether you're talking about something you do recreationally. They also offer a number of art and leisure classes as well. Brec.org is your starting point right there. You could check them out. All right, we got to take a quick break. We got Your Money Now coming your way about 10 seconds from right now. We will check traffic, and Mornings with Brian Haldane continues next right here on Talk 107.3.
Thank you very much. That was great.
No, my absolute pleasure. And I
so
can't.
we have a commission meeting on the 8th. We're going to be making a lot
hard not to be fired up right now. She is going to be the disinfectant that Breck needs. She is going to take what's awesome, like what has the potential to be awesome, and make it awesome.
Yes, indeed. It seems like it. I mean,
.756 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Man, thanks again to Janet Simmons for sitting in. I know that was like 10,000-foot view for her first appearance as the interim superintendent. But I do love the mentality. I absolutely love the mentality. Like, she's not scared to be honest about the problems. Like, Breck is awesome, but not perfect. So it will be, an ever-evolving thing to make it a little bit more perfect. Never going to get there, but as long as you're being open and honest, which she is, as long as you're being forthcoming, she is, then you are going to move in the right direction. It's both refreshing and gives me a positive outlook for the future, as there is no department in Baton Rouge that isn't going to have to face some kind of everything has run for too long on way too many duct tape and mirrors, way too much duct tape and mirrors. Everything has been leveraged off of the folks at St. George for too long, leaning on state government for too long. Like, we've been in a spot in Baton Rouge where we rely on outsiders too much, and Mayor President Sid Edwards has taken this on as well to say it's time for us to be masters of our own destiny, which I absolutely love. Tell you what I don't love, John, is we didn't get to go on water slides this morning.
see, that's the messed up.
That's messed up, man. That's it was 5:30, and we didn't. Liberty Lagoon is like what, 12 minutes away from
just
here.
Broadcasted live from there.
I would have been down for that. I start your day with a water slide. Tell me you won't be a million times more refreshed.
Oh, for sure.
That's where I want to be.
Who needs coffee when there's a water slide, right?
Right. Oh man. 4th of July coming up. And these next 2 days are going to feel like an eternity. Like, the closer we get to the 4th of July, these next 2 days are going to feel like an absolute eternity. Just because you start to see more and more people are taking off of work. We're seeing in our building more and more people taking off of work, more and more empty desks, empty cubicles, fewer people on the drive into work in the morning, fewer people on the drive home in the evening. Joey Chestnut's back in the hot dog eating company. I've heard.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with anything. I tell you what, we got our state superintendent of education, Dr. Cade Brumley. I had a little scheduling snafu. I thought he was at 7:35. He's coming up at 8:15. Dr. Brumley was nice enough to push back because I had them flip-flopped between Dr. Brumley and Janet Simmons. So We got Dr. Brumley at 8:15. Coming up at 8:35, Congressman Troy Carter going to stop by. He's working on a few things that, well, quite honestly, affect a lot of us. And we will talk with him then at 8:35. DC Current, of course, will be presented by LABI. We got This Day in History coming up, which is presented by Five Star Printing and Signs. That's next.
How'd that be for a Foodie Friday? Hot dog eating contest?
Yep. Oh, that's what that is. Okay. Oh, man. Oh. .806 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing. We got a busy third hour that we are starting off at 78 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. That busy third hour will include a visit from Dr. Cade Brumley, our state superintendent of education, and Congressman Troy Carter, little DC Kurt, presented by LABI. And since it is going to be a busy hour, let's waste no time and get right to this day in history. All right, John. Yep. What you got?
Starting off in 1776, the first vote of Declaration of Independence for Britain's North American colonies.
Okay.
That happened today.
Counting it down. Yeah.
That's it.
First vote was today.
Yes, indeed. Let's see. Another thing that happened today, very fascinating here. 1858, joint reading of Charles Darwin and Alfred Russel Wallace's papers on evolution to the Linnean Society renders audience awestruck and silent.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, first schoolhouse opens today in Washington, at Washington and Mason Street in San Francisco, this day, 1861.
All right.
Let's see. Battle of Gettysburg begins in Pennsylvania, where Union forces halt Confederate General Robert E. Lee's army of Northern Virginia, this day, 1863.
Okay.
1874, the first zoo in the United States opens in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
The first zoo was in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yep. A lot of firsts today. 1898, Theodore Roosevelt and his Rough Riders charge up San Juan Hill during U.S.'s successful assault on the city of Santiago.
Okay.
Another first here, 1904, the modern Olympic Games open in St. Louis, the first held in the United States.
I didn't realize that either.
Yeah. SOS, the distress signal, becomes the first, it's the worldwide standard for help this day in 1908.
All right.
Let's see, 1978, former U.S. President Richard Nixon makes his first public speech since resigning in 74.
Yeah.
Hey, a movie came out today, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, 91.
Oh, wow.
I was watching that the other day. Let's see, 2024, U.S. Supreme Court rules ex-presidents have immunity from prosecution for all official acts, substantially altering the 2020 election interference case against Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
That happened,
Yeah.
yeah.
That information has since changed.
Yeah.
Hey, did you have this day in 1903 was the first Tour de France?
No, 1903?
1903.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
And the U.S. Postal Service in 1963. You had that one?
No.
Okay, on this day in 1963, the U.S. Postal Service instituted the Zone Improvement Plan Code.
Okay, yeah.
Zone Improvement Plan Code, a.k.a. the zip code.
Hey, I like that.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Moving on to birthdays?
Sure.
I've got Princess Diana.
Yes, you do.
List. Also, Dan Aykroyd as well today.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Who else we got here?
There's plenty.
There is. Walter White. Wait, not that Walter White.
No, not that Walter White.
Yeah. Let's see who else we got here. Oh, yeah, a big one. I'd like to wish my daughter, Nevaeh LaBeouf, a happy, very happy, sweet 16 today.
There you go. Happy birthday.
So, yes, indeed. Shout out to her. Hopefully she's listening.
Yep, and add to that list, you got actor Sidney Pollack was born today. Missy Elliott, it's her birthday.
Oh, Liv Tyler as well.
Carl Lewis's birthday.
Yeah.
And I had one more, but I'm going to skip it because it's way, way down the page and I don't feel like scrolling that.
Hey, did you have Keith Whitley?
I don't know who that is.
Whoa.
Wait, why do I know who Keith
I'm
Whitley
surprised. No, I'm just surprised you don't. Don't close your eyes. Don't close your eyes. Don't make me sing, Brian.
No, don't know it.
Really?
Yeah, no, my apologies.
You're more of an R&B guy, though.
Yes,
There's
very
one
much
thing
so.
I know about Brian Haldane, a little bit more R&B.
Yes.
A little less country, a little
Yeah.
more R&B.
Yep.
My man.
Who you got for deaths?
Marlon Brando today.
Marlon Brando, yep.
Oh, man. Luther Vandross.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of, R&B. I mean,
Robert Mitchum, actor Robert Mitchum, died on this day in 1997 and died on this day in 1566. Nostradamus.
oh, Walter Matthau as well today.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
Oh, man. As far as national...
And Michael, you said Michael Landon?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, Michael Landon.
Him too. Wolfman Jack. I don't know. I'm just finding a bunch right here.
Yeah.
So-
Harriet Beecher Stowe.
Yeah.
A lot. It's a busy day for deaths.
It really is, yeah. The more I'm scrolling here. As far as national days go, we got American Zoo Day.
Okay.
What do you have?
It's Bobby Bonilla Day.
Bobby
Today
Bonilla?
is Bobby Bonilla Day. Do you know what Bobby Bonilla
No,
Day
I was
is?
gonna
It's
say, do you care to elaborate?
because I'm happy to tell you what Bobby Bonilla Day is. Bobby
right.
Bonilla Day is July 1st every single year for at least, how many more years do we have here? Every year on July 1st, the New York Mets pay Bobby Bonilla $1.19 million. And the reason they do that is because when they signed him in 1999, rather than giving him like a big lump sum for his contract, they agreed to pay him $1.19 million every year until, I want to say it's like 2032 is when that'll finally run out.
You know what? Yeah, that's...
2035.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So every year on July 1st, the New York Mets pay Bobby Bonilla, who's been retired for a good 20 years now. They pay him $1.19 million. So happy Bobby Bonilla Day, Mets fans.
Nice. That's the way to go, right?
So
spread that out over.
Yeah, well, okay. Here's the thing, though, right?
Mhm.
Is everybody ridicules the Mets for this contract because they're going to be paying for, another 10 years.
Yeah.
And they're going to continue to pay for a player who hasn't played for them for years. But here's the thing, though. $1.19 million is nothing in today's salary for the Major League Baseball, right? It's nothing for Major League Baseball today. So you have, you're going to pay for it for longer, but you have what is basically a rounding error that you have to cut as a check.
Yeah.
And you were saving money at the time by not having to overpay him back then. So yeah, you're paying for a while, but I'm like legitimately surprised we haven't seen this replicated to where someone else would say it's worth it to get, the $100 million star today and then go ahead and pay him moving forward because the money will be worth less 20 years from now, 30 years from now than it is right now.
Yeah, that's really fascinating, man.
Thank you.
That's really cool. Yeah. Didn't know that.
814 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Quick break. We got Dr. Brumley next.
Is he calling it? Is he calling in or is he
Supposed to be. You want to call him?
I can't. I don't remember if I have his number or not.
No, there he is right there.
Oh, sweet. Good morning, studio. Hi, yes, sir. Yeah, we're looking to have you up here in about another 2 minutes or so. All right, yes, sir. Thank you. Tell me about it.
I know.
Tell me about
Oh. Went way too hard at the gym yesterday.
it. Yeah.
And this was after going to, we went up to Central to this collectibles place because my son found some coins, some foreign coins. And he thought, he's 9. He thought they might be worth something.
Of course.
We went to Central, and the guy's a complete dick about it.
Really?
Like, he looks at him for a half a second and goes, no, these aren't worth anything. I sell these by the pound.
But
I'm
it's
like,
a kid. Come
I
on,
know.
man.
Like, I don't, you know, I'm like,
whoa, this is really
I'm not
fascinating.
asking you to fork over
Right.
money for them,
Right.
or even tell them that they're worthwhile. But give them 5 seconds of attention.
You don't have to
say,
break his spirit right away.
Like, you know, I don't know what I was expecting. Like,
Right.
I was expecting to, like, whip out a jeweler's loop, you know?
play
Nothing
around
like
with
it.
a little bit. Oh,
But
man,
yeah,
this is
like,
really cool.
oh,
like,
yeah, let me
kinda,
at least open up
Yeah.
a collecting guide that would show.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I get it. He's an expert in what he does, so he could do this at a glance. But like,
Still, man.
piss me off.
Yeah.
And I happen to know that the 20 pence that James has, is worth $10.
Yeah.
I've looked it up.
Yeah.
But there's no market for it here, so it's not worth $10 unless somebody will pay $10 for it.
Is there websites to maybe send to that maybe take?
That's what I
got
gotta find.
Yeah.
So, and it was like it was a 2002 Euro, which I believe had some kind of imperfection on it that makes it potentially valuable.
Yeah.
It's like, James, let's just take these back home.
Yeah.
So it just, I don't know. He had his hopes up that it was going to be something, and it was going to be a bummer if it wasn't.
Yeah.
He also had his free coupon for Mr. Gaddy's. I forget which camp he went to that gets his free coupon for Gaddy's.
How was that? You guys went?
It's terrible. Yeah.
But it's
just so bad. So when I went to the gym last night, I'm like burping up the buffalo chicken pizza.
Yeah, buffalo chicken is good. Yeah. Oh man.
Oh, it's terrible. But he has the coupon, so he can pay for his own lunch.
Yeah.
So he's proud of that.
But
He's
see,
like,
you know that as a dad, you're not going to break his spirit and be like,
No,
oh, really?
no.
Like, Mr. Gaddy?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like,
But
the guy
I'll
at the
smash-
counter could have at least, like, oh, man, let me check that out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's look into that. This
That's
is really
that's
cool.
all I was asking for.
Right. Like, no, kid. Get out of here with that. I see
It's
these.
worthless.
Yeah.
I sell
This
these
is
by the
worthless.
pound.
Yeah. Get out of here with that. Like, what the hell? Come on, man. Dang.
Oh, Dr. Brumley says it was disconnected.
Oh.
We got you?
He's there or no? Oh, weird.
There he is. There he is.
Okay. Hello, Dr. Brumley. Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we're about to have you up. Thank you.
It was a couple weeks ago. I got to take the show on the road, headed on down to New Orleans to broadcast live from the Teacher Leadership Summit, Teacher Leader Summit, excuse me, put on by the Department of Education. Come back home and, of course, rave reviews for the content that was included within that show. Joining us now for our first time since that meeting would be Dr. Cade Brumley, our State Superintendent of Education. Dr. Brumley, welcome back. How are you, sir?
Hey, good morning, Brian. Thanks so much for coming down and spreading the word about that event. I mean, it was fantastic. Over 7,000 teachers, 500 sessions, tons of energy. Really thankful that you got to join us.
No, it could not. The appreciation is all on this side of the room. It was amazing. The content was amazing. I'm already looking forward to clearing my calendar out to make sure I'm there next year as well. It's such a great event on so many different levels because it's really exemplary of where the state's headed. And
we too, like on that point, we too have really tried to narrow the focus for that event. I mean, 500 sessions, but they are truly focused on how to teach a kid to read and do math and how to make sure they're graduating, ready for what's next. They're not crazy sessions that are chasing radical ideologies. They're just like the basics. And we're just trying to help teachers get better at their craft at doing those things.
Now, while we were down there, the state legislature was coming to a close. In fact, the same day, that Thursday, that was the last day of the legislative session. Have you had enough time to kind of digest everything that went down on an education front to recap it here?
Well, look, I mean, I think we had a really good legislative session. As you know, last year with Governor Landry's first session as governor, we were able to push through his Dream Big education package, which had a good bit of reform-minded measures for education. And so this year, we didn't push through a big agenda like the year before because we needed to let that marinate a little bit. But we did have, in my opinion, several good wins, particularly on the funding front, so that we can do the things that we need to do.
So let's talk about those. What wins did we get on the funding front?
Yeah, several different items. I think I hate to rank order them, but I will say first, the legislature did approve once again a teacher stipend for $2,000 for teachers, but at the same time, they put a measure back on the ballot so that the state would be able to vote on taking a set of funds that the state holds and using those funds to pay down long-term pension debt and turning that into a permanent teacher pay raise. So once again, they did a stipend until the state could vote on this idea, which I think is pretty smart, to take some funds that already exist, pay down retirement debt, which is good for everyone, and then turn around and use those funds for a teacher raise. So that we did get that teacher stipend in, which I think is really good.
And if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but once the math was all mathed out there, what they're going to pay down and the dollars are going to free up is actually going to come out to more than $2,000. It could be like $2,250 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. It's a number that will be calculated for each local district based on their retirement debt, and the public across the state of Louisiana will make this decision, I believe, in April. And if you recall, the last election cycle with that CA2 amendment, people had thoughts on should that pass or should that not pass, but ultimately the voters decided that for that not to pass. But one good element in that was this idea of paying off retirement debt and putting it towards teacher salary. And that idea just got caught up in some of the other issues that were involved in that CA2. But I think this time what's happening is the public will essentially vote on that one thing in isolation. So I think that will be good.
No, I completely agree. And yeah, the CA2 was kind of cumbersome. There was a lot to unpack within it. And I think folks found that the more they had to unpack, the more likely they were to vote no. But teacher pay raise, permanent teacher pay raise, was never an item in question.
Yeah. And I had some challenges with that because people would say, are you supporting this or not? And I would say, look, I'm supporting the teacher pay raise because it's a smart way to do it. We're not putting more taxes on the public. Teachers are getting pay raises. We're paying down retirement debt. But there was just so much else wrapped into that made it really complicated.
What else went down during the session that caught your eye?
Well, really, really thankful, Brian, that we were able, through support with the legislature, to have our funding for tutoring back for another year. So as you know, I think we're the only state in the country that the last few years we kind of brought tutoring to scale, whereas if a kid needs a little extra help during the day, that they get it. And also, if they need a little help, whether it's in the evening or the weekends, they can do that through the Steve Carter Literacy Tutoring Program. So we have our Accelerate program during the day for tutoring. We have the Steve Carter program in the evenings and the weekends. And I think that was really helpful. And once again, the legislature allocated $30 million during the day and $5 million for Steve Carter. I think that has been really impactful as we have been able to increase literacy proficiency in math over the last few years. So glad to see that back in place.
Our superintendent of education, Dr. Cade Brumley, is on with us. Now, that being said, I mean, those numbers are good, but that there will be continued work to be done on that front. That 30 million and 5 million doesn't get to everybody, does it?
No, I mean, if you look at Steve Carter alone, our program for private tutoring, after hours, we have a tremendous waiting list for that program, last year. But we're thankful for the $5 million that we have. We utilize that on a kind of a first come, first serve basis. And we do what we can. And look, I realize the legislature has various priorities and they're competing with each other. So, I'm appreciative of the dollars that we have for tutoring. Another item, Brian, that we were able to acquire again in the budget is funding for our differentiated compensation for teachers. So a few years ago, we made a request so that local systems could get dollars and they could use those dollars to pay teachers more in harder to staff areas like high school math, high school science, K-12 special education, they could pay for performance for teachers based on their merit. And so we were able to get $17 million in the budget again this year. I think that's important principally as we think about the way in which we pay teachers across the state of Louisiana. Teachers need a professional salary, but also the market needs to drive some of this. So if you have high demand areas, there should be opportunities for those teachers to earn more money. If you have teachers that are really getting outstanding results for kids in their academic growth, for that merit, those teachers should earn additional dollars. And so our legislature the last 3 years has really agreed with that in principle and has funded that approach. And we've cut teaching vacancies in the state of Louisiana from 2,500 3 years ago to right at 1,000 today.
Incredible stuff. We're talking with Dr. Cade Brumley, our state superintendent of education. Let's continue on that path, though, because I know you and I have had this conversation before, Dr. Brumley, about how you establish that high demand, that high demand position. Is it based off of subject? Is it based off of region, or school district? Like if certain school districts are lacking in one subject, but overwhelmed in another, either recruiting somebody in for a particular subject or balancing things out. And then the other part of that is the school that they're going into as well. How much of a high demand position or one of those better paid positions would be based off of going into a lower graded school and seeing numbers within that school move up?
Yeah, look, I really like the way in which we've approached this. And so what we do is we take the pool of money. So this year, for instance, the legislature thankfully allocated us $17 million for this project. We take those funds and we block grant out to the school systems across the state. So everyone gets a proportional share. But then they can only use their proportional share within the categories that we've established. Mm-hmm. So they have to use their proportional share of funds to pay teachers more who are teaching high school math, high school science, K-12 special education, teachers who are teaching high-need schools, which are those that are 90% or greater economically challenged, teachers who are taking on mentorship of new teachers, or merit pay, teachers who are doing really good work with student outcomes. And so they get a block grant of money, but then they have to use that block grant of money within categories. And so I really think it combines like a state expectation of this is what we expect, but also gives some local control over the nuance within their system.
We got just a couple minutes left with Dr. Cade Brumley, our state superintendent of education. One of the conversations I had at the Teacher Leaders Summit, and I apologize, I'm going to forget, it was such an overwhelming amount of content all at once, so it's like drinking from a fire hose. But a great talk about internships and apprenticeships. And if I'm not mistaken, our legislative session gave some dollars towards that end as well.
Yeah, we're really working across multiple agencies, the Workforce Commission, Economic Development, the Governor's Office, BESI, and school systems and business and industry to make sure that more kids are coming out of high school having some work-based learning opportunity before they leave school. So that either means making sure that they've had a high-quality internship, which is time on the job for on OJT, on-the-job training, but also classroom time, learning those soft skills about work, or a full apprenticeship where students are going out and they're right there beside a plumber or an electrician or a car mechanic, and they're learning those skills and earning those certificates. And so we've really have a cross-agency, cross-sector approach to increasing expectation around students in high school getting work-based learning, really excited about it. And the legislature, again, pushed out $2 million to kind of serve as a catalyst for that across the state.
Next time we talk, we will be really a lot closer to the next school year. I'm looking forward to the preview.
Yeah, we're excited about it. Looking forward to continuous growth.
He is Dr. Cade Brumley, our state superintendent of education. We always appreciate the time, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brian.
Anytime. Coming up on 8:30 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. I do need to remind you about the folks over at Mathern's. Download the Mathern's Rewards app. Cannot emphasize that enough, y'all. You earn cash towards more groceries every time you shop. Plus, you get to take advantage of the deals of the week, which, by the way, 4th of July, coming up on Friday. If you have not yet done your shopping, grocery shopping, you need to get that knocked out. And Mathern's is here for it. Ground beef, $3.99 a pound. Chicken wings, $1.99 a pound. Get yourself the Veron smoked sausage. The 3-pound box is $11.99. How about Pork strips or pork steaks, $2.49 a pound. Leg quarters, 99 cents a pound. St. Louis style ribs, $2.99 a pound. All the meat you could possibly want to throw on the grill is available at Mathern's. All three locations, downtown on 3rd Street, Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, or the OG location on Highland next to Kenilworth. Yay, I got it knocked out. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what it was.
I got
Oh.
mail.
Yeah,
I'll be right back.
Dang. Hadn't said that in a long time. Crank yankers.
How about that big eat a dick right there to Jay Johnson? Seriously. Hey, congrats on winning your second national championship in the last 3 years. You get nothing. You lose, good day. If you want to walk on water, you got to get out the boat. Oh, Janet Simmons featured. A new chapter opens at Breck. I'm trying to decide what to do for the outside in. Galen, I need that link. Hang on, I saw Galen in, um, All right, it's time to get a look at your forecast, and here's what we got going on for the next couple days. Boy, yesterday was exactly as predicted, right? Going to have a high in the mid. That we were slated to have a high in the mid 90s with a 10-minute monsoon somewhere. That's exactly what we got today. Rinse and repeat, man. High of 94. There's only a 15% chance of rain on the day, but you know how this works in June and July in Baton Rouge. It's likely going to rain pretty intently, or with intensity, I should say, wherever that rain does come down. 94 is your high, 76 is your overnight low, 94 is your high tomorrow, 94 is your high on Thursday, 95 is your high on the 4th of July for Friday. Low, minimum chance of rain each of those days, but we'll see how that plays out. Meanwhile, looking ahead to next week, there is a greater chance of rain in the forecast basically every day next week. Right now, we're looking at sunny skies, 81 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. It's 8:38, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Due to scheduling conflicts on my end and his, we've both been guilty. It's been too long. We got to get caught up with Congressman Troy Carter. Here comes a little DC Current presented by LABI. Joining us now is Louisiana 2nd District Congressman Troy Carter. How are you, sir? It's been a minute.
I am doing fine, just running crazy like you. How are you, my friend?
About the same. Counting it down to hopefully getting a little vacation time over the summer. Do you get to clock out a little bit after the 4th?
No, not with all that's going on. It's not likely. Depends on what happens with the bill that we are addressing. The Senate is debating as we speak. I'm on my way back to D.C. as we speak, getting on a plane shortly to await its arrival back to the House so we can, again, fight to defend the American people in this big, ugly bill, as I refer to it. There was unprecedented action today that you may have seen. The major hospitals and clinics throughout Louisiana joined with the governor and the state legislature, asking that members of Congress do the right thing and not make these drastic cuts to Medicaid. I think that's significant. I think that should make headline news that this was an editorial written by the heads of our hospitals throughout the state of Louisiana. Not political, not on either side of the coin, not Republican nor Democrat, just purely stating the facts of what these drastic cuts mean. I think that's a big deal when the state Senate and the legislature pass resolutions on two Republican-controlled bodies unanimously sending resolutions to Congress saying, don't cut Medicaid. I think that's a major development, and I think that all of our members, from the speaker on down, really need to listen when people in an apolitical, nonpartisan way talk about the dangers, the lives lost, and the budgetary constraints this will cause the people of Louisiana.
100% agree. I could not agree more, Congressman, in that what we've seen with a lot of the cuts, there's been a ready, fire, aim approach to a lot of it. But when it's coming down to it, when you start to mess with things like Medicaid, and look, I know what we're told from one side versus what we're told from the other side, the numbers don't match up on both sides, okay? But if there can be a call to attention to see some real change, to see some real, and I'll use the word that you've used before, surgical change to do the right thing as opposed to wholesale cuts, if we can actually see the surgical change as opposed to everybody sounds the alarm and then it's just business as usual on the taxpayer's dime, if we can see the surgical change at the back end of this, we might get somewhere. It's good to see people finally speaking up.
And you're absolutely right, my friend, and I'd be the first to tell you, there's so many places in our government that we can have surgical change, that we can make modifications, that we can be better stewards of the public's trust and the public's purse. But to go at it with a chainsaw instead of a scalpel is irresponsible. And you made a very good point a second ago, so I want to backpedal there for a second.
Mm-hmm.
You said you see different numbers depending on which side of the coin that you speak of. If you read today's paper and you see the numbers, these didn't come from politicians. They didn't come from Republicans or Democrats. These numbers and this fear that's being demonstrated, the cuts, what it will cause, these are coming from the doctors, the administrators, the people who run and operate the hospitals and the clinics. They're looking at the bottom line of what this will mean to their ability to provide fair and equitable health care to people in Louisiana.
Well, yeah, but what
suggested by either side?
But what set of data do they have to input to get to where their bottom line's coming out of? Those were the differing numbers that I was talking about. Is what they're using to input.
The same thing that the Congressional Budget Office uses. It's a very scientific, nonpartisan group. The parliamentarian, the CBO, they look at this through a lens not as political, not as Republican or Democrat. They call the proverbial balls and strikes. And the calculations are when you take this many people off the rolls, it becomes very basic math. If you operate a snowball stand, and I tell you, you usually have 1,000 people that come to your snowball stand, but now you're only going to have 200 because the rules have changed on who you can sell snowballs to. It becomes very basic math.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna shut down. You won't be able to pay your employees. You won't be able to provide health care. Those clinics are going to close just by pure volume of not having enough patients to come in to be served. So just like before we expanded Medicaid in Louisiana, rural hospitals had closed down. We expanded Medicaid, rural hospitals started opening. That trend will happen again. When you no longer have the patient care available, the clinics are going to close down, which means a person has a stroke has to now drive, a much longer period to get to a doctor. The critical time between a person having a stroke and the time they get health care means the difference of life and death.
Yes.
These are real facts.
Yes, and it one of the things that I don't understand is the trickle down effect. And I don't want to dive into a Reaganomics lesson here, but if you close down the rural hospital, you're also closing down every vendor that services that rural hospital. You see the trickle down effect will have just negative effects throughout local economies as a result.
You're absolutely right. Let me tell you what else that trickle down effect does. Not only does it start to cut into the vendors, the people who have jobs, the economy of it, it also cuts into the quality and availability of service for people on Medicare. Because now the people that forget Medicaid for half a second here, now let's pivot over to Medicaid. So the people with Medicaid are also now, on Medicare are now still going to be impacted, not because they've lost their ability to utilize their Medicare, but because there won't be a facility to use it, which will impact our veterans, will impact our seniors, people who are not necessarily on Medicaid, but even the Medicare system will be strained. And here's one last caveat.
Mm-hmm.
When people are not able to go to that clinic because it's not there anymore,
right.
Because when people are not able to go to use Medicaid because they don't have it anymore, there's going to be an additional strain on emergency rooms because people are going to wait until they're deathly ill, and then they're going to be gurneyed into an emergency room where the health care is going to be quadrupled in the price, and that puts additional strain on the system. And, oh, by the way, you can't turn the person away in an emergency setting. So it's kind of, I've often say this on the show with you, curative care versus preventive care. Curative care costs a lot more money than preventive. If we keep people healthy by giving them the opportunity to see doctors regularly versus waiting until they're in an emergency room setting, it's going to cost the taxpayers a lot more money.
And what do you think the hospital is going to do to their billing structure when everything pivots over to unpaid emergency room bills? Who's going to pick up the tab then?
That's exactly right.
Look, I'm with you on this one. I tell you another one I was with you on, and well, the news changed on this one this morning. It looked like we were going to have a shutdown of the suspension of all Defense Meteorological Satellite Program, the DMSP. But it looks like we've pulled back on that now. It's going to stay running for another 30 days while they try to diagnose the problems they were having.
It needs to be running, period. The danger that we have, it's almost comical to think that we're going to take satellites out of the sky that help us determine when storms are coming and the gravity and the veracity of these storms. It's almost comical to think it's like saying, hey, we're going to take the brakes off your car because they cost too much. So we're going to take the brakes off your car, so now you're going to drive around without brakes because the brakes are just too expensive. Or like RFK Jr., the Secretary of Health and Human Services last week in committee, when I asked him about ratcheting back research for dreaded diseases, he said, well, we haven't come up with a cure for them yet, so we're just wasting money. Wait a minute, man. Because we haven't come up with a cure for cancer, for AIDS, we're going to just stop funding it? No. While we may not have come up with a cure for these dreaded diseases, we are every day getting closer because the more science and research we're able to put into National Institute of Health, the better chances we are finding a cure for AIDS or for cancer. But to say I'm going to take funding away because you haven't completed it yet, some of this stuff you just can't make up.
Look, we're all on the RFK train right now. He was in town last Friday for a bill signing, getting us healthier school lunches in Louisiana schools. So he's got our back for a hot minute. We got 2 minutes left with Congressman Troy Carter. This is DC Current, presented by LABI. I don't want this segment to go away without talking about a bill that you put out there protecting VA facilities from flooding. Tell me about this.
You recall last Congress, I had this bill before. It's a bipartisan bill that would, enhance and protect our veterans' facilities from flooding issues and making sure that these services are so vital to our veterans are protected. It passed through the House. It did not get through the Senate. It just never got to a vote. And we are fortunate enough to be introducing it again with hopes that we will be able to get it through the process. It's wildly popular. It is a bipartisan flood preparedness act with myself and Republican member Representative Nancy Mace. This bill strengthens the protection of the Department of Veterans Affairs medical facilities against flooding and rising sea levels. As you might imagine the danger that happens in the case where we have our Veterans Hospital, federally funded federal programs for our veterans that so desperately deserve it. And we have a major flood incident. What this does is this fortifies the buildings and creates a better standard of safety for our veterans.
Well, and I mean, taking into account, right in your backyard where, you talk about flooding on the one end where we've got seawalls that are shrinking or sinking on the other end. This is just going to exacerbate the problem.
That's a fact.
So
and that's why BRIC funds, that's why having FEMA, that's why having NOAA is so important, because we learn from the past, from the science, and we do better going forward. Imagine taking away the science, the things that have given us the ability to be stronger, to be more agile, to be more resilient, because now we're just going to kind of guess what's happening instead of using the science of NOAA or of the satellites in the air that determine and tell us when these storms are coming so we have a chance to prepare. This stuff should not be partisan. This stuff should not be political. These are basic things that give us the ability to protect American citizens, in this case, Louisiana, while we are right in the middle of hurricane season.
How did you turn the VA thing back into the NOA thing? You're in full go mode right now, Congressman. How are you going to sit still on a plane to get back to D.C.?
I tell you, man, you got to be up and hype, man. We got a lot of work to do, brother.
Oh, man.
In Washington, you got to move and pivot really fast.
I understand completely. We will talk to you soon. You have a great 4th of July. We'll talk to you next week.
God bless you, my friend.
You too, absolutely. He was just you see the Always Sunny in Philadelphia conspiracy chart. He was connecting all the things right there. He had them all intertwined. Full go mode. God, I love him. All right, we got a break. We blew right past your money now. I don't care. That was more fun. We'll close it out next. Hey, Facebook, help me out here. Oh God, I hope Sarah's not watching. Did I just have the congressman sound off on Reaganomics as a solid economic policy? Hear me out. When you have, and this is what trickle down economics is, right? When you have a rural hospital close, that the company that handles the linens, the company that handles the food, the company that handles the janitorial, all these vendors that service them, they are all now without their largest client. So their business is going to suffer. Their income is going to suffer. That is trickle down. That is Reaganomics right there. And you get a very stark view of how it works in reverse. Oh. By the way, and I wanted to get into I was going down that RFK path. At some point, we're going to have to reconcile the idea that when Michelle Obama pitched healthier lunches in schools, everybody on the right was against it and everybody on the left was for it. And now RFK Jr. and Patrick McMath pitching healthier. Hey, Maurice, what up? You good? Awesome. Yeah, I'm on Facebook right now, about to be back in a second. You too. When the script is flipped, now the opposite is true. So, by the way, the congressman was off on one thing. He said they were pulling the satellites out of the sky. They weren't pulling the satellites out of the sky. They were just discontinuing receiving the data. And I think there was a disconnect on that end. I could be wrong. I read it from the NOAA's website. So by the way, I said I hope Sarah's not listening. She's totally listening.
Oh, man.
Because the fact that you're comparing Michelle Obama and RFK right now is something else, bro. It was the same idea. It's healthier foods, a healthier lunch, more fruits and vegetables. Yeah. It's the net result is the same, but the battle lines are drawn on political lines and not on results.
And that's unfortunate, man.
That is. Let's see. See, that's the question that does need to be answered, Galen. Why is it that inning spending control in Washington is irresponsible and draconian? That's where we need to move the ball, is to the point where there. Let's pick it back up right there. 856 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. One segment to go here on Mornings with Brian Haldane before we hand off to Moon Griffon and the Moon Griffon Show. A little follow-up on the visit with the congressman, which he was just firing on all cylinders this morning, and I absolutely adore that. And look, y'all know the drill. Like, I'm not always going to agree with him. He's not always going to agree with me. That's the point of having conversation. Having the conversation overall is the moment we stop talking is the moment we start losing. But Galen posts up on Facebook. He says, medical guidelines and therefore spending should be reduced to pre-COVID levels. We are no longer in a pandemic. He also says, why is it that any spending control in Washington is irresponsible and draconian? See, that's the part that I think we need to get back to, and the congressman agreed with this, is blanket cuts or blanket cuts would should be considered draconian. When you call off the blanket cut, we never get to the surgical cut. We never get to, and this we just go right back to business as usual until it's the 11th hour again. We go right back to business as usual, and we don't see any of the spending cuts because we just put the ball down. We don't drop the ball. We physically put the ball down. And we'll pick it up again when our back's against the wall. It's the same thing when we have to look at the debt ceiling. And it's the same thing every time around. We jack with the full faith and credit of the United States government, the United States Treasury. We jack with the full faith and credit of our nation because we didn't do our due diligence in the meanwhile to find, to cherry pick, to go through and say, yes, we can make a tiny cut here and a tiny cut there. We get to that all or nothing space. So awesome conversation. It'll all be available. All the individual conversations today will be available on demand at talk1073.com once the show is over with today, which it just about is. All I've got left is enough time for me to remind you about the folks over at Landmark Bank. LandmarkBankLA.com is the website. LandmarkBankLA.com. You're going to find them in the surrounding area around Baton Rouge. You're going to find them in Brumley. You're going to find them in Zachary, home base in Zachary. You're going to find them in Clinton and Greensburg and Denham. In fact, if you go to LandmarkBankLA.com, you'll find the full list of branches, the full list of locations of Landmark Bank. They were founded in 1897 as a community bank. And here in 2025, they remain a community bank, staying true to their mission, helping you with your personal banking, helping you achieve your dreams when it comes to personal lending, helping you achieve your dreams when it comes to starting a business or growing a business. They've got you covered on both fronts. It all starts at landmarkbankla.com. Not enough time for us to get into anything else here. Tomorrow, I can let you know that Attorney Franz Borghardt will be back in for a little Legally Served. Looking forward to that. We should have a stack of topics to cover with Franz tomorrow. And, then we're just counting it down to the 4th of July after that, right? That's going to do it for us and this installment. We will be back tomorrow, 6 till 9 a.m. And like I said, if you missed anything at all, it's available on demand courtesy of Lake Urgent Care at talk1073.com. All right, we're out of here, y'all. See you tomorrow. All right, guys. I'm a skedaddle. Galen, let's just get back to the satellite, please. I want to know, Galen, I need you to just shoot me an email or DM me or something. You had said it was, what was your exact wording? Oh, wait, you did send a link. Hang on. You said regarding the NOAA satellite, it was initially planned to be cut off on June 30th to mitigate a significant cybersecurity risk. So I read the NOAA announcement and I didn't see it in there. Let me find it again. Hang on. While we're still up and running. I know it was in here. No. Data and tools. No. There's got to be a noose. I literally just had it. This is why I should never close any windows. I should keep all my windows open all show long. Butthole. Nope. Give me. I promise, y'all. I promise I just had this. Oh, shit. In today's Advocate. All right, well, let's go find that then. I'm not trying to get it from the Advocate, though. I'm trying to get it from the source, from the NOAA themselves. It's not on the front page. Come on, dang it. This is killing me, y'all. I like to move faster than this. Ah. Got it. I'm there. I got it. NOAA delays cutoff for hurricane forecasting data. Warned of severe consequences last week when NOAA said in the midst of this year's hurricane season, discontinue key data. The defense microwave data gives key information that can't be gleaned. To mitigate a significant cybersecurity risk. Okay, I see the quote right there, okay? But when you go back to the NOAA's announcement, that's where I can't find that quote. So I see what you're talking about, but I don't see it from the original. Because I would like to know, like, has this risk been around for years and years and years? Nope, there it is again. Looping into the same shit. I'm not seeing it. I gotta give up because I got a meeting coming up at 9:30. Damn it. Damn it. Galen, if you come across the original, dude, message it to me. I want it at this, man. I got the mission and the vision, the video tour, the visitors. Where the hell is the... I know I had this. Screw it. I gotta go. All right. I tried. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a great one.